Alex Pereira will make history June 14th when he knocks out Cyril Scissorhands Gane at the White House and wins his third UFC belt. Alex Pereira is known as Poatan, which means stone hands. And what is a stone if not a rock? Are you seeing it yet? It's simple, really. Rock beats scissors. This isn't a prediction, y'all. This is science. Therefore, this pick is a lock so long as Alex wears his goggles June 14th. Lest he meet a similar fate to our paper-colored champion who was unironically stabbed by Mr. Scissorhands Gane, which is unfortunately a fitting outcome for the only champion hailing from England, but I digress. Boys, this is some high-level MMA math right here. Now, I don't know if it'll be the first round or the fifth round, but rest assured, Alex will do the thing. He will boop the baguette man with his signature left hook, and we, the Poetards, will yell, "Chama!" And I, Recon MMA, will be watching from this chair on some "I manifested this" type shit. And if you know me, you already know we're slamming the Pereira money line. At basically even money against the guy that got dropped by Tai 7 losses in a row to Ivasa, this is basically free money. I mean, it's a no-brainer, y'all. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this Pereira money line is the rebate for us US taxpayers that I assume are footing the bill for this bullshit. But to my international viewers, don't worry, y'all. You don't have to be American to make money betting on this fight. So let me break it down for y'all, and let me explain why I'm so confident Poatan gets it done at the White House. So first, let's talk about the challenger, the man known as Cyril Gane.
Cyril Gane.
This dude should not be here. He should not be fighting for his 5th title shot. He should not be fighting at the White House, and he should not be fighting another living legend in Alex Poatan Pereira. His ass should be back in France, headlining a fight night main event UFC Paris against Sergey Pavlovich or maybe Salsa Boy. But for whatever reason, Cyril Bongamin Gane has this infinite title glitch, so we're just going to have to proceed forward and accept that reality that he is fighting Alex Pereira. And you know what? It's okay, because we're finally going to see this dude slime the out. And you know, I just looked up what that nickname means, Bongamin. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong for my one French viewer. Apparently it translates to like good man or good kid. Bruh, that is an insane nickname for the dude that's arguably the dirtiest fighter actively in the UFC. This guy's got a highlight reel of fouls that would make John Jones jealous. And it literally did. John Jones called out the fact that Cyril Gane is a super dirty fighter.
I've noticed in a lot of Cyril Gane's fights, you know, if you look at that Tai Tuivasa fight, one of the shots that actually put him down was a strike to the back of the head. He hits people in the back of the head quite a bit.
And you know what they say, it really takes one to know one. Now I could go on hating on this dude, and perhaps I will later in the video. I mean, it is called for, but I'm really bringing up the circumstances surrounding this farce of a title fight for a reason. And when I say farce, I mean a farce. Even Volkov called this out, that this is a great fight between two great fighters. Cyril Gane is a very good fighter, and Alex Pereira, like I said, is a legend. But this is not the legit title fight between the best two heavyweights in the world. It's just not. Cyril Gane is here because Tom Aspinall is injured. Tom Aspinall is injured because, well, Cyril Gane tried to use Tom's head like a bowling ball. And now we've got people acting like not only is this title fight justified, like it needs to be for Undisputed, but people are acting like Cyril Gane beat Tom Aspinall, like Tom quit out of that fight, and it was pretty much already over when Cyril, like I said, used his face like a bowling ball. Even though the stats show a different story, that they were basically even on strikes in that first round, and, you know, once you deduct the significant eye pokes, they're literally even on strikes. I think this is a phenomenon of a few different factors. One, MMA fans are retarded, and the smoothest brained among us are the loudest in these comment sections. And the expectations for one Mr. Tom Aspinall were so high going into that fight that anything other than a first round destruction of Cyril Gane was going to be looked at as a failure for Tom. I mean, I remember people saying he needs to beat him not only in the first round, but quicker than Jones did. If he gets hit a couple times and then knocks him out, John did it better. And that's really the deal, right? It was in part because of Tom's historic rise through the division, his historically low fight time, the fact that he was just destroying everyone other than his one loss in the UFC due to injury against Blades. But I think it had a lot more to do with Cyril Gane getting, you know, nuked by the other living legend that he fought coming up from 205, Mr. John Jones. Everyone expected Tom Aspinall to do the same thing and just whoop him in round one, get him out of there quick like he'd done so many other guys and like John did to Cyril. And since Tom wasn't able to do that and we didn't actually see the conclusion of the fight, people act like this, you know, fairly competitive, even Gane fight through like 4 minutes was in the bag for Cyril Gane. But you know what? It's okay. It's crazy how short the attention span and the memory of the average terminally online MMA fan is, but that's only giving us better betting odds, so it is truly okay. I mean, let me remind y'all, in case you need it, let me jog your memory why it is Cyril Gane got to fight Tom Aspinall, why he got his, at the time, 4th title shot, I should say. Cyril Gane got the Aspinall fight because he beat Alexander Volkov in their rematch by split decision brutal robbery. And I don't mean delusional 4-1 Chimaev MMA Joey brutal robbery.
They robbed him! They brutally robbed him! It was 4-1!
Bruh. I mean an actual robbery where I think 19 of 20 media members scored it for Volkov. 90+% of the fans on MMA Decision said Volkov won. I absolutely spazzed out because I had a bunch of money on Gane at like 2-1 underdog odds.
For the winner, by split decision, Cyril!
So yeah, he wasn't the only one who got robbed that night. Rest in peace. I feel so bad for my boy Volkov because he's still somehow like 5 fights away from a freaking title shot, even though he keeps winning and he's getting old. So anyways, that's why Cyril got to fight Tom Aspinall. He got to be here because the judges didn't do their job. Had they scored that fight correctly, as most of the fans did and 19 of 20 media members did, we wouldn't be here. Aspinall would have fought Volkov again, and he probably would have beat him again, and then maybe he would have fought another contender. Maybe we would have had Aspinall versus Poatan. Maybe John Jones would have finally stepped up to that fight. We don't know, but what we do know is, unfortunately, we live on the worst timeline. We live on the timeline. Judges blinder than a post-321 Tom Aspinall. So we're stuck here with this bozo getting his 5th title shot. But I'm here to tell y'all, don't stress. Don't worry, boys, it is okay. Where there's yin, there must be yang. When the moon goes down, the sun comes up, and the next day goes on. And Alex Pereira is here, again, to save the day and violently correct this timeline, as he's done countless times before. He is the main character here at the White House at heavyweight. I mean, he's going to go down as a combat sports GOAT, if not the definitive GOAT, especially if he somehow unifies this title and ends up triple undisputed. He was already double undisputed in glory, something no one else had done. He is the guy. He is number one, doing things no one else has done. And I'm glad. I'm glad people are doubting Poatan again. Not only because I get to make this video, hopefully some ad revenue and a follow-up video to gloat, we get to bet on Alex Pereira at basically even odds. And it wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the great contributions of degenerate MMA fans with the memory of, well, let's be honest, pet store goldfish. They forget who this guy was. They don't remember the glory fights because they probably never watched them. Let's be real. These boys have the average attention span of that goldfish while simultaneously having the gambling addiction of your average boomer at the casino or perhaps a FIFO worker at the Pokies. And now, we, the Poetards, get to bet on our boy at even moneyline odds against a guy that nearly got KO'd in a pure striking fight with future FIFO worker and Pokies enthusiast, Taito Ivasa. So we will be gamble maxing June 14th, and we will win back the money those fucking judges stole from us on UFC 310 when they robbed Volkov, simultaneously robbing us of our units. And we are not going to be pissed on June 14th. We are going to be rich as fuck, and we're going to need it because there's probably going to be a GoFundMe for Justin Gaethje's funeral costs. I'm seriously very worried about him. Top Turo's next level, guys. So we really need Alex Pereira to come through with some happiness before the sadness sets in. Because as much as I have grown to dislike this dude, Cyril Gane, he is an impressive fighter. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you he has no chance in this fight. I do think Alex Pereira has a significant advantage, and I don't think these odds are correct, but it is heavyweight. They're in 4-ounce gloves. And Cyril Gane, despite what people think, is not necessarily a pure striker. He might shoot a takedown. He has, in some of his fights, albeit kind of randomly, he didn't shoot against Derek Lewis, pure striker, and he didn't shoot against Taito Ivasa, who, like I mentioned, did rock him pretty bad in their fight. But he's a unique fighter. There's a reason he's gotten 5 title shots. I'd say at least 2 of them have been justified. I mean, the Derek Lewis title fight shouldn't have been a title fight. That was just to fuck with Ngannou, basically. He did deserve to fight for the title at that point against Francis. And then throwing him in there against Jones when it was vacant made some level of sense. Him getting the Aspinall one was pretty ridiculous because, like I said, he only got it because of the Volkov robbery, and he's only here because he fouled his way through that fight. But yeah, I've come to dislike the dude. He has a really dope fighting style when he's not fouling, but that's the thing. He's fouling people constantly. I mean, I mentioned Derek Lewis and I mentioned Tai Tuivasa. He finished both these dudes with shots to the back of the head.
That's fucking illegal.
There are compilations on YouTube. I'm not going to run y'all through all the fouls. You can go and look them up after you obviously watch this full video. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit the hype button. But genuinely, putting my fanhood for Alex aside, putting my dislike for Cyril Gane aside, as a bettor, as a gambler, and as a certified MMA mathematician and YouTube smooth brain, I do think Alex Pereira is a nightmare matchup for him. When I was first envisioning Alex stepping up to heavyweight after he lost the title at 205, I remember thinking, this could work. Since he's not going to move up as a champ, maybe we'll get to see him versus Cyril Gane instead of one of these well-rounded guys like a John Jones or a Tom Aspinall. I thought this was the perfect fight for him to enter the division in, and look, it's the worst timeline. I hate what happened to Aspinall, but the fact that we ended up with Gane versus Poatan is kind of the coolest thing ever. I mean, this is one of, if not the highest level striker that Alex could face at the heavyweight division. And when you look at Cyril Gane, his advantages against these other heavyweights is the skill set. It really comes down to his movement and that slickness that we know him for. He doesn't move like a heavyweight, right? He is elusive. He has, like I said, slickness in that striking department and, well, in the fouling department too. He speed mogs the other heavyweights, and he styles on a lot of these guys with ease, especially if they're outside of the top five, the non-athletic heavyweights, the Sergey Spivaks of the world. Cyril Gane's going to have an easy time against these guys, but is he really more skilled than the men on the resume of one Alex Pereira? And I'm not just talking about the Adesanyas of the world and the Prohaskas or the Sean Strickland, which, how well is that win aged? I'm not talking about the Blahoviches and the other guys at light heavyweight. I'm talking about his glory days, like his literal glory days, like his days in glory kickboxing. Alex was fighting the top level, the highest level of kickboxer at 185 and then at 205. And you know, we always talk about lighter man skill for a reason. So is Cyril Gane really going to have a unique skill set in the sense that he is faster, more elusive, more creative with his striking than these guys were in glory, than a prime Adesanya was? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think there's a single heavyweight MMA fighter who's striking, from a technical standpoint, can hold a candle to an Artem Vakitov or a Simon Marcus. I don't think Cyril Gane, although faster than pretty much every heavyweight, is faster than some of these middleweights Alex used to fight. And I just don't see what new challenges he's presenting in the striking department. So unless you're banking on Gane shooting and grappling his way to a victory, or you just think Alex is going to be super slow and look terrible at heavyweight, I don't really see a huge advantage for Gane in this fight, because frankly, Gane isn't a huge heavyweight. I mean, he's jacked. He is an actual athletic heavyweight, but he doesn't weigh in at 265. This isn't a dude with crazy one-shot power like a Francis Ngannou, and he doesn't tend to win his fights with grappling. If this was a prime Francis with that uncrackable iron chin and Ford Escort at top speed power, I would be worried, bro. I would be worried that Francis might just kind of maraud his way through like he did against Rosenstrike and just chin Alex Pereira. And I would be seriously concerned for Alex in the grappling against a Tom Aspinall or a John Jones. Even one of these guys like Curtis Blades or Sergey Spivak, just because they're so heavy combined with their grappling ability, might even pose a more interesting threat. But Cyril Gane's going to strike with him. I don't think he's going to spam takedowns. I mean, we've seen Cyril Gane fight the three guys that I think would be a hard matchup for Alex Pereira at heavyweight. A prime Francis Ngannou, who Cyril got to fight with 2 flat tires, half of an ACL, and Francis ended up winning with his wrestling, which was funny enough. We saw him fight John Jones, who he got memed on in round number 1. And let's be real, there's a pretty good chance the only reason he didn't get boomed by Tom Aspinall in 1 round is because every time Tom Aspinall tried to close the distance, he got
fingered by an MMA fighter.
Call it a cope all you want, but don't call it a bias. I am not Team England. I'm American. And man, I swear to God, if Cyril Gane fouls his way to a victory or even just another no contest, I will actually crash out. Like, it was really cool when Alex Pereira waved off the ref and Shama Jamal Hill after that low blow, but please, for the love of God, none of that. Not for this fight. It's too important. No eye poke, no low blows, no controversy, no missing weight, no PED, no robbery split decisions, no f***ing Mark Goddard. For the love of God, just give me a clean fight, some no-nonsense Keith Peterson, and a clean round 2 Shama. I don't feel like we're asking for too much here. I'm not asking for Gaethje to win. I know that's too much. I know that's too much to ask for. Just a round 2 Shama. It doesn't even have to be round 2. I'll take a decision, Shama, frankly. Just an Alex win by any means, and I really do think it's gonna happen. Y'all gotta remember, when we're talking about that lighter man skill difference, it goes both ways. Alex is the best leg kicker maybe ever in the UFC, certainly the best at these higher weight classes. I know it's funny to talk about calf kicks because of the Joe Rogan memes, but seriously, when Cyril's calves get dusted, and they will get beat up in a way that no other heavyweight's going to be able to do to him, he's going to slow way down, and that movement is so critical to Cyril's success. Once Cyril stops bouncing around, I think he's going to be a sitting duck for Poatan, and the only thing left to bounce at that point is going to be that big bald head off the canvas or the White House lawn or whatever the hell the fight setup's going to be. I mean, boys, I'm actually really looking forward to Joe Rogan just creaming himself on the mic talking about Alex Pereira in this fight, because it's not about good analysis, but y'all, when Joe Rogan starts talking about that calf is done, you guys, that's basically the start timer, the countdown to Shama time. I really do think Alex has got this on the feet. My main fears for him here is twofold. It's fouls from Cyril Gane, but considering his last fight, I really think the ref hopefully we'll be on it in this fight at the White House with such big stakes. Hopefully we have a ref who's willing to actually, do their job. My main concern beyond the fouls is the takedown threat. A lot of people seem to think Cyril's a pure striker, and sometimes he is, and sometimes he's not. It seems almost random, his willingness to grapple. But we have seen him shoot on guys like Volkov, who actually can grapple. So I don't know if he'll shoot here. Logically, he should, but when he should, he usually doesn't. I mean, this is the same guy who dropped into a heel hook against Francis Ngannou instead of winning the round and maybe winning the belt. Cyril's not known for elite fight IQ. That's another region I'm not worried about Poatan having some sort of disadvantage. It's quite the contrary. I mean, not only was there the infamous Francis heel hook, he also tried to drop down for a heel hook on Volkov. Maybe we'll see him try to heel hook Alex Pereira, but I really don't see Gane spamming takedowns for 5 rounds, and considering how much Alex has improved his takedown defense, how much he's trained with Glover for the submission defense, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. You have to go into these fights when you're trying to analyze them, make a prediction, make a bet for the outcome. You have to go based on what we've seen fighters do. I've seen Alex Pereira fight the same way pretty much in his fights. Is it possible Alex Pereira could shoot a takedown? Yeah, it's possible, but I'm not going to predict that. That's not what we've seen, and we haven't seen Cyril Gane shoot a lot. So I think there's a good chance we'll see him try to mix it up some, but I just don't see him wrestling his way to victory, and if he does, I will crash out. So definitely tune into the live stream for this one. But honestly, I don't see it happening. At light heavyweight, we did see some guys have success. I mean, Jan Blachowicz, I think, is the best example. He talked about how he's going to test himself in the striking against Alex Pereira, and then I think he shot about 10 seconds in, and, well, arguably did win that fight. It was a very close split decision, if I recall correctly. But Alex has shown he isn't a complete fish out of water. He did eventually get up in that fight against Jan and kind of turned the tides around in that 3-round affair. He showed a lot of improved takedown defense against Ankalaev, and in the second fight with Ankalaev, well, he just pretty much booped him and didn't let him take him down. And I gotta imagine Magomed Ankalaev and even Jan Blachowicz are much more formidable wrestlers than Cyril is. Obviously, they're not as strong, they're not as big of guys, but Ankalaev, yeah, he's a striker, but at the end of the day, the dude's from Dagestan. He is for sure a better technical grappler than a guy like Cyril Gane is. And as these rounds drag on, I think you're just going to see the skill difference. If Poatan wasn't such a gigantic 205er, I mean, it is truly crazy he ever made middleweight. I'm going to give the over-under on Joe Rogan saying that. I'm going to put it at 3.5, and I'm betting the over. It's going to be said a lot, but it is crazy he was ever a 185er. If y'all saw the face-off, he really doesn't look undersized, and he doesn't look like he's just fat maxing his way into 265, kind of like John Jones did. He had a bit of a belly. I'm very curious to see how Alex looks on the scales, but it looks like he's built his way into this heavyweight frame pretty well, and I think he's going to have a lot of success here. How will he do against a Tom Aspinall in a unification bout, assuming Tom, fights again at some point? I don't like his chances as much, but against the dude who's probably going to strike with him the whole time, who isn't a true 265 gigantic heavyweight, the man with terrible fight IQ and the infinite title glitch, well, as they say in Paris, inshallah, Alex Pereira by round 2 knockout to make history, to win his 3rd belt at the White House. Round 2, Shama. Let's go for that. Shama!